amplify HEX. And you got to remember why it was built to begin with anyway. Why was it built to begin with? To save hexagons gas fees. That's why it's being built to begin with. It was to keep getting exploited by the high rates of gas fees that could go up at any time with no notice whatsoever. That's why Pulse is being built. And even now, those gas rates can change. You might find yourself in a burning building where the bouncers are standing in front of the door saying, nope, you got to pay to get out. Good luck. You know, there's nothing keeping those prices in check except the people running the network. And as long as it's to their benefit, they'll run it that way. But if it starts, yeah, I don't like it.
Well, I think the biggest benefit too for HEX, and it's it's interesting to even think about the pump metals, HEX versus PulseX, and all the RH blue chips or future ones that will be here will become that, because everything goes back to HEX. All the sacrifices locking up all that HEX, which makes it more rare, and all these things too. It's making the HEX experience better. All these things are happening, but so much of the focus. Do you think so much of the focus has shifted to PulseChain?
Oh, it totally has. It totally has. And the year-long promoting of it, it's like everybody's forgot about it, right? And
other than being new and not here, and like constantly, maybe the people over leveraged that need to talk about it because they're angry or frustrated. Why do you think the focus has shifted to PulseChain and it's like brought this whole other community into the fold?
Because it's new. Seriously.
New shiny object.
New shiny object. We've just seen this with eFair and ETHW. Literally, everybody will dump those and they will move to Pulse. They will. It's inevitable.
That is definitely a play on the table. Well, all right, exactly. Let's talk about that then. How do you think about the forks coming out? How important do you think they'll be? How long do you think they'll last? Is it is the meme now day trade and get as much ETH POW HEX as you can, or you think there's something there?
Here's the thing with crypto, okay? Celsius is making a comeback. Luna is making a comeback. 2 bankrupt companies are making a comeback in crypto, and the price is pumping. Only in crypto can that shit happen, right?
We weren't founder, but yeah, mostly crypto.
So I can tell you that I'm not a fan of the other chains, right? Does that mean that they have to fail? Obviously not. Obviously not. Things in crypto that shouldn't even exist anymore still exist and still can make money in crypto, and they can do that also in a bull. Is it your optimal play? Is it the safest play? Probably not. But can you make money in those things? Yes, you can. And I'm not worried about chasing the hype chain, right? The thing you got to keep in mind here is, since the chain has split, new people coming in now, they have to make a choice. They don't get all 3. They don't get all 4. They now have to make a choice. They don't have the advantage that you did going into the chain, being able to get that copy. So now, which chain are they going to support? Because they can't afford to get into all of them. So these lower price points they might drive up those lower price points, but how much do you trust that chain? What do you want to direct people to? Do you want to direct them to the new chains? Or do you want to direct them to the chain that is going to get the next copy so that they can be on the ride with you to get the next copy? Do I think they're going to last? Look, Ethereum Classic is still around. It's not doing so well, but Ethereum Classic is still around. So I can't tell you what they're going to do. But I can tell you that, God, I don't even know how to go on this, because look, people are excited about the new things, right? And people are looking for opportunities that they feel that they missed out. You haven't missed out on HEX. You have not missed out on the original HEX. I don't understand why people feel that they do when we are half of the price of a Dogecoin, a coin that was designed as a meme that prints out 10,000 new coins per minute. Okay, we're half the price of that coin. Where are you late?
Yeah. So if you could make the case for ETH POW or HEX W, I guess you would say HEX W on, make the case for and against it as far as, what is it good for? What is it going to do good for the community? And then also, what do you see bad habits are forming around it, if any, and what could go wrong? Could you kind of go back on those cases?
Well, what it could do good for it is because it is bringing eyes and attention, because as usual, we're the only people doing anything in this damn space. So we're the top performing coin on that network, which draws eyes and brings attention to, HEX. The downside of that is it's volatile as all hell right now, because it has thin liquidity and it bounces all over the damn place. And usually people get chewed up in there. All right. Some people win, some people lose. And that can be a bad experience for people. The other thing is, of course, the gas fees could get hiked up on you at any point in time, and you don't know if or when that's going to happen. And I don't see, the biggest thing for me about the new networks is I don't see Richard acknowledging them at all, really.
There's a
The only
chance
thing he
the OA
acknowledged
could do liquidity. That would be
it
the biggest
could,
move
if it wanted to,
possible, I
but
think.
it hasn't. It doesn't,
Yeah.
and he doesn't seem all that interested. And I mean, he could technically look at that as a competitive product, right? Especially if people start bragging about it and acting like it's a competitive product. Usually, when you are saying, "Oh, you do better over here or do better over there," that's usually when you see OA moves. Like you see, all of a sudden, ICOSA liquidity gets kind of kiboshed because people are running around saying, "Oh, well, you make more if you stake over here rather than staking HEX," and then all of a sudden, now you're not earning as much anymore. You ever notice that? I wonder why you're not making as much as you were now, because you wanted to brag that there's more money over here, So there are things that can be done, but again, that gets in the realm of speculation. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm not in crypto to speculate. I'm not in crypto to chase shiny objects. The only reason I'm here is because there's an opportunity of creating, generational wealth by having a coin that you can hold, you can get paid to hold, and you don't have to buy mining equipment to do it. Anybody can participate at any level. It's cheap, and I think everybody should give it a shot. The other stuff, being interested in cross trading and leverage trading and selling this to move over here, move this over here, and all that extra action, I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that. I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to tell people how to do it, because they may hear something wrong, and then they may get wrecked because I made them aware of something that they can get wrecked on, and I'm not going to live with that, on my conscience.
So what is the case against it too? Because another thing that many people talk about is, hey, on the pro side, it's getting HEX a lot of publicity, marketing. Yeah. We see, it's working on this chain, all this stuff. But also you could say that, why is HEX the only thing succeeding on this chain? Why does nobody else playing on the chain? Is that a sign for future longevity of the chain if nobody else participating? So I could see like both angles on that one. Like what is the case against it? I guess what harm could it do to HEX and to play on it, or new people?
It's absolute dilution. Okay, that all we are seeing is a series of dilution over and over again. All right, if you have 3 different options, the same amount of money now has 3 different directions to go. And now people might say, well, that ain't right because we got all 3 anyway. You're not the new person. Now the new person has to choose a chain. And because that new person has to choose a chain, that money is only going into that chain. It is no longer going into everything, right? So the same thing with like the derivatives. Initially, it's great because they pull a lot of HEX off the market, right? You get the HSI stakes, you get the other thing going, and then it pulls HEX off the market, and that's great. But now you have other options to buy other than HEX, right? You got other things that are staking, other things that are producing yield, other things that are doing things. HEX really only works if it's the premier store of value, if it's the premier productive store of value on any chain. That's what makes it work. In order for it to do that, it needs a larger amount of economic energy to keep doing that. And if you have different options, that distributes the limited economic energy. Think about market saturation. Okay, think about market saturation. When you used to buy advertising, okay, you could advertise on the radio station, right? And then everybody would hear that because everybody in your town would listen to that radio station. Well, what happened? Now we've got Spotify, we've got Groove Shark, we've got Pandora, we've got Sirius XM. No longer that money has to be spent on all of these different platforms to get the same amount of coverage to reach the same amount of people, right? Television, you've got Hulu, you've got Netflix, you've got Prime, you've got Paramount, you've got all this different stuff, right?
Well,
so even
on that analogy though, on that analogy, would you say that it'd be better if we didn't have all those things? For if to hear stuff on the radio, like, I guess the criticism would be, well, do you want to get rid of all those nice things? I like Spotify, how would you reconcile that?
You don't want to get rid of those things. But what I'm saying is the economic energy has to be amplified in order to cover and move the same way that it used to reach as many people, right? So look at it this way. If you buy HEX, guess what? If you pump the price of HEX, all of the derivatives go up, all of them, because they're linked to it, right? But if you buy a derivative, the derivative goes up. So it's funny. We're all sitting on these big bags, and everybody wants to fight over which is better, right? Because they want to pick one thing to stand behind. And in all actuality, the one thing to stand behind moves everything up. But these other things are, look, they're all cool ideas. It's extra levels of complexity. But if you buy the one thing, all of your coins do good. All of them do good.
The other point on that would be then, but the derivatives, such Maximus Team, Hedron, all this stuff, it is locking up, or it's giving you access, or it's creating more features that is supposed to have that positive feedback loop to make the HEX go up. So how do you reconcile that? How do you say, okay,
but that comes back to the tool, right? That comes back to the tool principle, where I said, some people will use the tool correctly, some people will crack somebody else in the head, and then some people will crack themselves in the head. It all comes back to how you utilize the tool. No matter what you design, it's going to have unforeseen circumstances and emerging properties. Emerging properties being beneficial, unforeseen consequences being things that are detrimental that maybe you didn't think of initially. For instance, like I said, we could look at it like this. There were a lot of people that were posting about how you could make more yield on ICOSA and Hedron than HEX by staking HEX, right? Well, that changed real quick, didn't it? But here's the thing. Was it true? Yeah, it was true, because you don't even have to buy HEX. You could just buy Hedron and stake it to earn ICOSA, and stake ICOSA to earn more ICOSA and Hedron. And then you can sell that on market value, because it does have a market value. So what does that have to do with HEX at all? And if that's producing a higher amount of yield that can be sold for more dollars, why do you even need HEX? You see? So now you got something that was built to increase HEX's price, now becomes a competitive product. You see where this can be a problem?
Yeah,
and then I wouldn't say people boasting about it. That's when the OA says, "Oh, really? Guess what? I get free Hedron too." There goes your price. Oh, guess what? You're staking there because the pool is so small. You guys are earning more yield. Here, let me stake over there. Oh, wait. All of a sudden, that yield gets dried up. I wonder what happened. Why is it? Yeah, I was making $1 million a day. Now, why am I only making 1,000 a day?
Yeah, I think it's part competitive product, because obviously people will buy the thing that they think it will go up more, even if it's related to HEX. I don't think it's 100% in that way, because I think the positive feedback loop, I think none of these things could exist without HEX. And even though the buying power is split for the other derivatives,
none of these things could have existed without HEX. But now that they exist, they take on their own form, their own shape, right?
Yeah,
and that is an unforeseen consequence, and that is based on people's perceptions and how they utilize the tool. I'm not attacking anything. All right, I'm just pointing out points of failure where these things can, the unforeseen circumstances as a result. That's what I'm trying to cover here.
No, it's so hard to have an objective conversation about these things because everyone has their bag. And at the end of it, once they see that, oh, there's a good point, they'll be like, but no, my bag, if I agree, then my bag lose, stuff like that. So I really try to come into this. I just want to say the points, the counterpoints, and go through it. I try to be as objective as possible. And that's why I want to have these conversations. So